That was loud.
That was loud.
Nope, we're live.
We are live?
We are live.
We are live. Welcome to Sports Scrutiny. I'm Rob.
And I'm BJ, and we got some of the best topics coming to you today, guys. Good stuff. Go ahead and start us off, Rob.
All right, well, in the NFL, the preseason has come to an end, and I actually have your Thursday night scores. We'll start off with the Jaguars taking a victory over the Atlanta Falcons, 13-7, and then the Rams lost to the Packers, 24-10, and then the Bengals lost a close one to the Colts, 7-6. The Lions lost to the Buffalo Bills, 27-17. The Eagles lost to the New York Jets, 16-10. The Giants edged out the Patriots yet again, 40-38. The Redskins upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 13-10. The Pittsburgh Steelers edged out the Carolina Panthers, 17-14. The Dolphins take a beating to the Minnesota Vikings,
Whew.
30-9.
I don't know
The
what's
Ra-
going on with the Minnesota Vikings, man. I just had to chime in and say that.
no, that's fine. 30-9. That's a big one. The
Yeah.
Ravens upset the Saints 14-13. That was a close one. And the Browns, man, the Browns killed it this preseason. They went 4-0 and they dominated the Chicago Bears 25-0.
Whew.
The
Tough pill to swallow,
The
man.
Titans got blasted by the Chiefs 30-6. And the Cardinals, well, they got a safety. They scored 2 points, but they lost to the Broncos 30-2. That's just so funny.
Oof.
I remember reading that and I couldn't stop laughing. But then, then the 49ers beat the new LA Chargers 23-13. And then the Seahawks upset the Raiders 17-13. And on top of that preseason talk, we have some NFL trades that I want to get into. The Jets traded Shelton Richardson to the Seahawks for Jermaine Kearse and a second-round pick next year. The Seahawks also trading a seventh-round pick to the New England Patriots for Justin Coleman, and then they sent Tremaine Brock to the Vikings to get that seventh-round pick back. Seattle has been real busy this preseason. On top of that, good old boy Victor Cruz, the salsa man himself, was released from the Bears. He was injured a few weeks ago, and then he was then cleared, and then as of September 1st, was released. And to top that off, we have Chris Johnson, 2K Chris Johnson. He was going to back up David Johnson this year on the Cardinals, but just didn't pan out, and they released him, so he will not be backing up David Johnson this year. BJ, do you have any further information about the NFL?
Well, what I got from my research, Rob, was nothing mainly, but a lot of injuries, man. I mean, this is pretty surprising with the whole injury count, man. Wide receiver Aaron Dobson, second round pick out of Marshall in 2013. He's out with a hamstring injury. Matt Sims for the Falcons quarterback was put back on the injury list after he was taken off the injury list by two different doctors, and he was put back on the injury list. So he must not have been as healed as he thought he was. Brenton Burson, wide receiver for the Panthers, is out with a shoulder injury, and Bryce Petty, the backup quarterback for the Jets, is out with a knee injury, a questionable knee injury. So that's what I gathered from it, man. It just seems like there's a injury plague going around, man. I don't understand what's up with that. I mean,
Oh no, it
but then
doesn't.
again, these guys' bodies go through a lot, man. So we shouldn't be too
Yeah,
surprised when we see the
they put
injuries.
they pushed themselves to the limit, and it doesn't sound
Hmm.
too good because, well, I don't know if you know this, but the season starts Thursday.
Yeah,
Chiefs at the Patriots Thursday night.
yeah.
Tune in to watch that. And then Sunday starts the official week one of the NFL season. We got Sunday,
Hmm.
the 1 o'clock games. We have Jets at Bills, Jags at Texans, which I do believe may be canceled due to the unfortunate accident flooding that is in Houston right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And then we have Steelers at Browns. That's the Steelers and Browns always bring a good game.
yeah,
Then we have the Cardinals at the Lions. We have the Buccaneers at the Dolphins. We have the Falcons at the Bears. Raiders at the Titans. The Ravens at the Bengals. Eagles at the Redskins. Now those are the 1 o'clock games, and now the four
yeah.
o'clock games. We have the Colts at Rams. We have the Panthers at the 49ers. The Seahawks at the Packers. That'll be a good game. I want to see that.
Packer Nation, Packer Nation.
And then the late night game Sunday is the Giants at Cowboys. I really hope that's as good as the Giants and Cowboys usually are.
Yeah,
Cowboys
that's
don't.
actually just to chime in on the Giants and the Cowboys. That's actually my mom's team versus my sister's team. So there'll be a lot of trash talking in the Johnson household, and
Yeah,
come when that game comes on. So, oh yeah,
hope that should be good. And then Monday we have two games. Monday night, one at 7:10 and one at 10:20. The 7:10 game will be the Saints at the Vikings. That should be interesting,
oh yeah.
especially since the Vikings have been on a little bit of a slump this preseason. The
Hmm.
Saints, with newly acquired as of this year, Adrian Peterson should be leading the way with quarterback Drew Brees. That's actually one of my favorites this year is the
Hmm.
Saints. I hope I'm pushing for them to go all the way. And then the 10:20 game will be the new LA Chargers at the Broncos. Should be very interesting week 1. I'm really looking forward to it. I just hope that those injuries that you mentioned don't really have too much of an impact. Um,
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure those third and fourth string guys are like, now's their time. But yeah, man, see
what
how it plays out.
Now that we've gotten through most of the information on the NFL, do you have anything regarding the NBA?
Yeah, man, I got a few things going on here. Just a couple interesting facts starting off. The Houston Rockets sold themselves to billionaire, excuse me, not millionaire, but billionaire restaurant owner Tillman Fertitta. It's kind of becoming a trend for these restaurant owners to buy these teams because it brings them it almost triples their business at their restaurants. So that's kind of a way uh, to bring revenue toward the restaurant. It's just money altogether. They're billionaires. How much more money could they possibly make? Um, Dwayne Wade, Dwayne Wade. This shocked me when I read it actually. Dwayne Wade is of course one of the greats right now in this generation of basketball, and he is considering signing with the Cavaliers if the Bulls buy him out. So I don't know what's up with that, man.
So
To me,
we're gonna see a LeBron and Wade again,
well, yeah, I know,
hopefully in the
but
future.
yeah, they'll be nasty if that happens. But he to me it just sounds like a money thing, man. With the oh, I'll do this if they buy me out. It just seems like a ploy to get money. But can you blame the guy? Um, he's also considering going to the Miami Heat and the Lakers or even the Clippers. So he's got like he's playing the field. It sounds like to me he's trying to see who's going to pay him the most money. I mean, what do you think, Rob?
Well, well, if he goes to Cleveland, then he'll be with his good old buddy LeBron James again.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think you're spot on when it comes to the whole money situation, which hard to believe him being married to Gabrielle Union. She's a really successful actress and she's
I
super
know.
banging too.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe it's not a money thing. Maybe it's just it's a business strategy. Maybe he
yeah,
doesn't want to
yeah,
leave a contract hanging in the wind. And
yeah. Yeah.
if he
And
does
of
go to
course he wants
LA,
to make money. Of course most
oh yeah,
definitely he wants
who
to make
doesn't want
money.
money, man? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I want money. You want money. The people watching want money. Hell, he should buy out, and the money that the Chicago Bulls spend to buy him out, he should spread the wealth. Send it this way.
Send it this way. Yeah, we'll interview him, won't we, Rob?
Oh yeah, definitely. Man, talking about NBA trades, there's a hot one, and I know you've been waiting to hear about this. As of August 30th, the Boston Celtics acquired Kyrie Irving from the Cleveland Cavaliers. It
Man,
was a big trade. The Cleveland Cavaliers acquired Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizek. I don't know if I say that correctly. And they acquired some first and second round picks. It's almost like the Cleveland Cavaliers just robbed Boston Celtics blind. I
it's
mean, I got
about money. It's about money. They don't these you think these players I don't think these players really care about what team they play for. I think it's more about what they're gonna make. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even think it's about to an extent now. To an extent, I don't even think it's about rings anymore. I don't even think they care about winning. Getting rings anymore. I think it's more about just who can pay me the most money. I think everybody's jumping on the Conor McGregor train. You know what I'm saying? In a way, but it's just like it's
well,
all about
yeah,
money.
yeah, not yeah, and I'm reading some of these stats, and to mention the robbing, it's just like okay, Kyrie Irving last year, his average point per game was 25.2. And then we have Isaiah Thomas averaging 28.9. So already Cleveland Cavaliers have a better scorer in terms of statistics last year. Then they get Jay
On
Crowder who
paper, on
averaged
paper.
on paper. They got forward Jay Crowder. He averaged 13.9 points per game, and his
Hmm.
rebounds were 5.8 rebounds per game. So I mean, statistically, Isaiah Thomas is just a steal. And then they get Jay
Yeah,
Crowder on top of it, plus first and
yeah.
second round picks. I mean, whoever the general manager is for the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, he should be my publicist or something. He should.
Most definitely, man, because he's a bank robber. But
You know who I
yeah,
think it
man,
is? It
and
might be. I think Danny Ocean might have been behind that.
might be, man. You never know about the world of sports these days. I'm gonna just to add on to the coattail of what you were talking about, Rob. I just just adding on to what I was saying about the money thing. Okay, so they're trying to sweeten up James Harden, of course, and I mean, he give a round of applause for James Harden. He's the only man that I know that didn't fall for the Kardashian curse. He got in and got out. You know what I'm saying? But he donated $1 million to the Harvey relief effort, which is really good. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people should be doing that to help those guys out down there. And another thing was, okay, so everybody knows James Harden signed with the Rockets in 2012, and he promises to stay with the Rockets. That no one's ever going to get him. But do you think that's really true, Rob? Do you think that he promised his fans now? So do you really think that he's genuine when he says he promises he's going to stay with the Rockets, or do you think that's just a ploy to bring more money at the time, like right now, making his fans feel secure about him being on that team?
Well, in my opinion, I think it might. It's either it could be one of two things. It could be he really loves the town, he really loves the team, he loves the atmosphere, and he really just doesn't want to leave no matter how much money they give him. And then two, that huge contract that he just signed is just he's happy with what he got.
Yeah,
So ultimately, I mean, it could be about the fans, but I think it's all about money. Everybody has a price.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Everybody has a
All right,
price.
so taking a look at the live chat. We got our live chat going. My homeboy Mike, what's up, Mike? Gotta hope Isaiah Thomas comes back as good. It comes back as good after that hip injury. Ooh, that hip injury. That kind of reminds me of when Kobe Bryant had the Achilles tendon injury. Now that
Oh
do
yeah,
you? I mean, because Kobe never really
yeah. He never came back from that.
rebounded. He never
Yeah, he
rebounded from
never.
that. Like Kobe is still Kobe. Don't get me. Kobe is still a fantastic player on his worst day, but you know what I'm saying. injury like a hip injury or something like an Achilles tendon tear or something like that. I mean that's whew. Do
I
you
don't.
think Isaiah Thomas is? I mean, go ahead.
He's a young guy. I think a hip injury. I don't think it was too significant to have a huge impact. I don't think he will be able. Like, I don't think it will affect his peak performance. Basically, I think he'll recover.
Okay,
He'll recover 100%, and he'll still be able to do all the things that he was doing. You know, I don't think it. I
okay,
don't think it'll be too bad.
okay.
It's not going to be like he blew his knee out or something. Um. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
that's a
he'll.
hip injury though. That's a
Yeah,
hip injury. He's too, you know.
but he's still young. He's a young guy.
Yeah, he's still young, man.
It's all. It's all. It's
he's
really.
definitely
It's all about his personal life. If he takes care of himself, if he gets the proper treatment, then yeah. But if he just slums around, then obviously he's not going to be able to recover properly. But he's a professional, and he just got traded, and he's going to be working with LeBron James, and everybody knows LeBron James is. He's a tough guy. He really leads his team, and I think
yeah
he's
he
going to
does.
take Isaiah Thomas under his wing, and he's going to be all right.
Yeah, man. So uh let's see here. What else we
Oh, I
got?
got some.
Yeah, man. But go ahead,
I
go
got
ahead.
no. Before we move on, I wanted to touch base on the tennis world with the U.S. Open
Yeah.
being active right now. We just got to the quarterfinals. We actually have two matches that currently being played: men's singles and a women's singles. But earlier today, and I'm really gonna butcher these names, but in men's tennis, the 12th ranked player Carino Busta beats Schwartzman in straight sets 6-4, 6-4, 6-2. And then currently playing right now, we have Query, ranked 17, playing against ranked 28 Anderson. And then tomorrow, we have the number one ranked in the world, Rafael Nadal, playing an unranked Rublev. That'll be at 1:15 tomorrow. And at 8:15 p.m. tomorrow, we have the third ranked Roger Federer playing the 24th ranked Del Potro.
Okay.
And in women's tennis, the unranked um, Stevens upset the 16th ranked in the world. How do you say this name? Sevastova. Man, I hope she doesn't see this because I'd probably killed her name. She got upset 6-3, 3-6, and then she lost in the last set in overtime 6-7, and she lost 7-4. And then actually playing right now is Venus Williams. She's ranked ninth in the world, and she's playing the 13th ranked in the world, Kvitova. We'll
Hmm.
see. We'll check that score later. And then tomorrow at 12 p.m., we have the number one ranked Pliskova playing the 20th ranked Vandova. I don't know how to say her name. I hope she doesn't see the video either. And then tomorrow at 7 p.m., we have 15th ranked in the world, Keys, playing an unranked Kanepi. And that's all for the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open. And on top of that, it's really lucky this year. But early in the U.S. Open, actually before it started, Rafael Nadal became the number one ranked in the world again, where he hasn't seen the world ranking number one since July of 2014, and it works out great because the number two ranked Andy Murray dropped out of the U.S. Open, which put the number three ranked Roger Federer in the two seed. So we could potentially see a number one and number two seed final of the U.S. Open, which would be the favorite matchup of, and what the matchup everybody's anticipating is a Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal U.S. Open final. The GOAT, Roger Federer, and Nadal have had a mild rivalry since the early 2000s. Nadal having 15 Grand Slams and Federer having 19 Grand Slams. widely considered as the greatest tennis player ever. Nadal is only 31 and Roger Federer is 35. But Nadal has suffered a great amount of injuries, more than Roger Federer. But Federer has been smart. Last year, he took the whole second half of the season off to recover, and man, is he killing it this year. He is killing it this year. He won Wimbledon. He holds the record for 8 Grand Slams at Wimbledon. And I'm really hoping that it pans out to where it is a Rafael Nadal Roger Federer final. I'm really actually looking forward to it, to a huge amount. And talking about good matchups, I know you
Yeah.
have some information about the MMA world. I know you got some good matchups going on over
Woo.
there. What can you tell us about that?
All right. So we got a lot. We starting off. All right. So I'm gonna go retro just a little bit. I'm gonna go back um, and cover some things that happened in August. Of course, we're gonna start off with the John Jones Daniel Cormier controversy. Okay, we all know John Jones is being considered the best pound for pound fighter in. I think he might be the second. I think Chris Cyborg is the number one pound for pound fighter, but I think John Jones is like the number two pound for pound fighter in the world, and he's had an ongoing rivalry with Daniel Cormier in the light heavyweight division. Excuse me. Um, and he beat DC the first time, and then he failed his drug test with USADA for cocaine, and then he first he failed for steroids, then he failed again for cocaine use, and then on top of that he had the hit and run with the lady, the pregnant lady. So and then after all of that he gets a chance to come back. He gets his redemption. He comes back and he faces the now lightweight heavyweight. Listen to me, light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier um, at UFC 214 and beats Daniel Cormier with a vicious head kick. I mean, it literally came out of nowhere when he threw that kick at DC, and and then he failed. He failed again for steroids. And but the controversy over this is that the testosterone, the steroid that he failed for is a urine positive steroid. So with USADA is the company that tests these fighters randomly during their training, before the fight, and immediately after the fight. They test these guys, and he failed the drug test, the urine test that you take before the fight. He failed that one for the steroid, but he passed the blood test after the fight. So right now it's kind of in limbo whether or not John Jones is going to be suspended, because he's looking at a 4-year suspension. Um, if they decide to do this, and he's looking at getting the belt stripped from him not once but for the second time, getting that belt taken away from him. So that is what's going on right now, and they're saying you can only track this particular steroid through urine. So if he failed through urine and passed through blood, he still failed for steroids. So that right there, man, that's what's kind of got the whole MMA world shook up right now. Also, want to talk about the upcoming fight. Like I told you guys about it on our intro video, we got Demetrius Johnson fighting Ray Borg, which this is going to be a killer card. It's his first time fighting on a pay-per-view event. Um, a couple more things, guys. Jose Aldo says it will be a dream to fight at UFC 217 in Madison Square Garden in New York. I, on the other hand, don't think that's going to happen. The only reason I say it's going to happen, we all know Jose Aldo. He got a pretty early start in his MMA career, and he went 10 years undefeated until he fought Conor McGregor and lost in 13 seconds. With a, and he went on to take some losses after that. I mean, he just lost. He just lost to Max Holloway for the interim lightweight bout, which is whoever won that fight was of course going to fight Conor McGregor for the full title. But I don't think he's going to make it to that card, man. Especially taking two losses like that, two knockout losses, as a matter of fact. And I just don't think he's going to get on Madison Square Garden card because when they do fights at MSG, Rob, MSGs are usually big cards. I mean, the last really big card at MSG was McGregor Diaz, two. So that I think they kind of hold MSG for the big cards, and Jose Aldo really isn't bringing in anything right now. I mean, he's not really drawing anything right now. I mean, people don't really go out their way to watch Jose Aldo fight.
Yeah,
Um,
wasn't he was undefeated before Connor knocked him out, right?
Connor, yeah, I mean, he was undefeated for 10 years. I mean, he went 10 years without losing. And then Conor McGregor knocked him out. I think in like maybe
13
six or
seconds.
13. Was it 13 seconds? I know it was
Yeah.
pretty quick. But moving on from that, man, Holly Holm. Everybody knows who Holly Holm is. Holly Holm is the chick who knocked out Ronda Rousey with the head kick. Everybody knows who Holly Holm is. Um, she's a three-division world champion boxer. I mean, she's great. She's made the transition to MMA. I mean, Holly Holm is great, but her thing was kind of like she kind of got figured out. I mean, Ronda Rousey kind of walked into her punches, so she made easy work of Ronda Rousey, but she went on to lose three fights in a row. And this Holly Holm thing has got the MMA world kind of in a craze right now because, all right, so this is the deal with Holly Holm. Holly Holm beats Ronda Rousey, the biggest women's MMA star ever, right? But then she goes on and loses and gets exposed by Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate, in no way possible, in no league, could stand up with Holly Holm. But Miesha Tate found a way to get her to the ground, choke her out. Then she goes on to fight Valentina Shevchenko and just gets counterpunched to death. And then on top of that, she goes and fights Jermaine. She gets a title shot after two losses. She gets to step up in weight to featherweight, and she gets a title shot against Jermaine Durandame, which Holly should have won that fight. I mean, yeah, we know there was some hits after the bell and some controversial things that happened during that fight, but she gets a title shot and she loses. And then then once you lose three in a row like that, you start to fight scrubs. So she goes on to fight Betch Kohel, which Betch Kohel was a former title contender, back in Ronda Rousey's heyday, and she gets a head kick knockout. And then on top of that, she gets boosted up to number 4 in the bantamweight rankings. And I'm like, how do you get boosted to number 4 after you lost 3 times? Even before she beat Betch Kohel, she got ranked to number 4 in the bantamweight division. And I'm like, how does that happen? You got people like Juliana Pena. You got people like what's her name? Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington just beat Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate is one of the trailblazers for women's MMA, and Raquel Pennington is 2 or 3 notches below Holly Holm. And then you got Juliana Pena, who's only had 1 loss in the UFC, and she's ranked lower than Holly Holm. I just don't understand, man. I mean, I really don't understand that. But anyways, I'm getting kind of off topic, Rob. She's saying now, at first everybody ran from Chris Cyborg. And I have to give Tanya Evinger. Tanya Evinger is the excuse me, well, she was the current Invicta FC Bantamweight champion, which is a subdivision of UFC, but it's an all women thing. She had the guts. She stepped up. She fought Cyborg, and she put on a hell of a show against Cyborg. I mean, she counter-striked Cyborg. She landed some good hits on Cyborg, but Cyborg's just got unbelievable power, and she just kind of overwhelmed Tanya Evans. Kind of outmoved her a little bit. But I'm really, really impressed on that fight. But the thing is, who is going to beat Cyborg? Who is going to beat Cyborg, Rob? I mean, honestly, you got girls left and right just running from Cyborg. There's only a select few girls who have offered to step up and fight her, man. I mean, are we looking at the best women's MMA fighter of all time? Are we looking at that?
Well, everybody's the best until somebody better shows up.
Yeah, man. And There's a couple prospects that I just want to touch on real quick that I think would definitely give Chris Cyborg run for their money. Want to start off with Leah Letson. Leah Letson is fighting currently in the bantamweight division. It wouldn't be nothing for Leah Letson to gain 10 pounds, sign with the UFC, and come and fight Cyborg. This girl has got bricks in her hands, bro. I'm telling you. I have seen a few of Leah Letson's fights, and she's the most humble, most, darling person in the world, but she has got some bricks in her hands, and she will lay someone out if she can catch them. And Cyborg is very quick. Cyborg is very trained and knows exactly what she's doing. So I say that Leah Letson should probably get a few. She probably should join the UFC, get a few fights under her belt. Get in there, get a few wins, and possibly go for the featherweight title. And the second person that I was going to say was Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson is probably I would put her before Leah Letson, and the reason is, Leah Letson, she's short, this and that. She's about the same size as Cyborg. But when you get to Megan Anderson is a 6 foot tall true featherweight. And when I say true featherweight, I mean someone that can't make bantamweight. Because I think the problem that is what's happening in the UFC right now is they're pairing Chris Cyborg with bantamweights. They're making these bantamweights like Tanya Evinger, Lena Landsberg, Leslie Smith. They're making these 135-pound girls gain 10 pounds to fight her. So they're fighting out of their weight class, and she hasn't fought a true featherweight. Megan Anderson is a 6 foot tall. I believe she's got 6 or 8 inches reach over Chris Cyborg.
Yeah, man, she's as
So
tall as me.
yeah, man, she's tall, man, and but she did kind of duck Cyborg in a way. I think she just kind of used calling out Cyborg to get her contract for the UFC, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna bail out, and make sure I get some more fights before I fight Chris Cyborg," which is understandable. She's only been doing this for about 7 years, versus Cyborg's been doing this most of her life. Um, but I believe that would be a very good contender to take on Chris Cyborg. Because Cyborg's just a beast, man. I mean, would you get in the ring with her?
It depends what kind of ring you're talking about,
I mean, that's crazy, man. What do you think
You
about
know,
that? What do you? Go ahead.
see, my thing, somebody calling out somebody and then not showing up, it's kind of just like, I don't know. It's like, why even say anything at all? In my opinion, just makes yourself look like like you ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Like Conor McGregor, he won't ever call anybody out and not show up. That's like somebody with a real fight mentality, Like
Well, he definitely put this thing together with Mayweather.
yeah, man, he had some help too. I don't know, man. They robbed the whole states. They helped rob the whole world.
Yeah, they did.
That was
So
it.
how do
It
you think
was
he did?
not as good as what everybody's giving him credit for. I'm gonna be
Give me
honest
your
with you.
thoughts, Rob. I'm gonna let you talk about that. I want to see what you think about this May Mac thing that happened. That's what they're
Well,
calling it, May Mac.
okay. Well, first, before I get real deep into my thoughts of the whole fight, Mayweather and McGregor. I actually have the card set here. The first judge had Mayweather up 87-83, and then the second judge had Mayweather up 89-82, and then the third judge had Mayweather up 89-81, and then that was obviously through 9 rounds, and then Floyd won by TKO in the 10th. And everybody was saying that Conor dominated the first 3 rounds, but really, domination in the terms in the sport of boxing would be like on a scorecard it would be a 10-8 or a 10 to
10-8
7.
round. Yeah, 10
That
8,
would
10
be
7
that would
round.
be you got totally dominated.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one round was anybody dominated, and that was the 9th round. Floyd just picked Conor apart in the 9th round. We had 2 judges ranking that scoring that round at a 10-8. But
Yeah,
one judge
I
did
saw
have
that.
Conor up uh, the first 3 rounds 10-9 in the first 3 rounds, and then all the other judges gave the first round to Conor. And but if you honestly, if you look back at every single one of Floyd's fights, I can't remember the last time he actually won the first round. That's just his
He's a
style.
slow starter, man. He's definitely a slow starter. I think that's how he figures out his opponents, is he studies how they
That is
move.
how he
And
figures out his
yeah,
opponents. He's the most
yeah,
adaptive fighter in recent history. I mean,
yeah.
he says he's the best ever. I can't agree with that. But well, we'll see. Conor McGregor landed, and this is everybody's making a big deal about this, and it's
Yeah.
kind of frustrating. Everybody's saying Conor McGregor landed 111. He landed 26% on Floyd Mayweather. He
Yeah.
did better than Manny Pacquiao. He did better than Miguel Cotto. Like, come on. You honestly, if you watch the fight, you you know it's a strategy. I mean, look at if Floyd had fought Manny Pacquiao the way that he fought Conor McGregor, Floyd would have lost.
Yes.
It had nothing to do. I mean, I can't say it had nothing to do with it, but if Floyd had just went in there and been regular old Floyd Mayweather Jr., Conor probably he probably wouldn't even have landed 10. I mean, Conor is a fantastic fighter. He really is. He is one of my favorites in the world of MMA. And I mean, of all things, Mayweather is not my favorite boxer, but the dude he deserves credit where it's due. And people are just giving Conor way too much credit for that fight. I mean, yes, he did land 111, but that also brings up the conversation of everybody saying Conor has so much power in his punches. And honestly, if you really have that much power, you have he talked about, oh, he has a small head. I hit him one time, he's done. He landed 111. I mean, take any of the knockout boxers in history. I mean, even recent history. We'll take how about Deontay Wilder,
Yeah.
the big heavyweight. He's undefeated. If he hit somebody in 111 times in the head, or we'll just say, oh, actually, it says right here, he land. Oh, actually, I don't even have the body shots. So we'll just say, oh, okay, we'll say 50 shots out of the 111 were in his head. If you tell Deontay Wilder hit somebody the size of Floyd, well, can't really say that because he'd probably kill Floyd. But we'll just
Probably
say,
kill
oh,
Floyd.
any knockout fighter hits any of their opponents 50 or 60 times with that much power, why wouldn't they be knocked out? That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, yes, McGregor did land more punches than Cotto, did have more exciting rounds than Floyd versus Manny Pacquiao. But was he really a better performance? No, I really don't think it was. Because reading these stats here, Mayweather landed almost 60% power punches. A power punch is anything other than a jab or a straight. And in boxing, the easiest punches to read are uppercuts and hooks. And both of those are considered power punches. And if you're really that great of a boxer, how are you going to get hit with nearly 60% of your opponent's power punches? I mean, yes, I give him credit, 111 uh, fists landed, but the way that Mayweather was fighting him, it deemed necessary. And then even I think it was the second round, McGregor hit Floyd with probably the hardest uppercut he's ever seen, and it was flush. And Floyd didn't even he blinked for a second, but then it was done. And
It was
honestly,
over.
I think that might have scared Conor because I don't think he's ever hit somebody that hard and he didn't move.
Yeah, man, because
I mean,
he barely touched Jose Aldo.
yeah,
He
and
barely.
you saw how about the Nate Diaz fight? Every single time he clipped them, Nate Diaz fell.
Yeah, because I think the power transfers a little differently from MMA to boxing. Because with MMA, you have the smaller gloves, you have the thinner gloves in MMA, and so when you swing, when he throws that punch, a lot more of the punch is connecting. Versus with boxing, you got the pad, you got the 8 ounce glove. They had on 8 ounce gloves, so there's a little bit more of a. To me, I think there's a little bit more of a cushion in there. You know what I'm
I don't
saying? So
think
he
it.
can't.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with the cushion. I think it has to do with the window because I actually read a lot of studies about the different pounds pressure with 8-ounce gloves, 12-ounce gloves, 10-ounce gloves, 4-ounce gloves, and fists, and the difference between them was under 10. The difference between a 4-ounce glove and an 8-ounce glove was under 10 pounds per square inch, which actually isn't that significant when someone's hitting 900 or 800 pounds per square inch. I think the biggest thing that has to do with a 4-ounce glove versus an 8-ounce or a 10-ounce glove is the window. Because, you got your fists up here, and a 4-ounce is just, it covers maybe like a tiny bit, and then you got an 8-ounce that's a little bit more, and you got your fists up, the window is a lot smaller. So I think that might have a lot to do with generating power in boxing versus MMA, because in MMA, the window, your target is a lot bigger. You take more
Yeah,
risks, you
yeah,
put a lot
yeah,
more into it. In
yeah.
boxing, you got straights, you got jabs, you got hooks, you got uppercuts, and people developed those boxing types because those are the biggest windows for the best windows
Mhm.
for, the glove. I mean, ultimately the gloves were developed so that people could fight longer. Because back in the day when people were boxing with just their fists, they were breaking their fists and the fight didn't last very long. They only lasted like 30, 40 seconds. People's faces were busted, their fists were
Oh yeah,
broken.
oh yeah.
But I mean, even though gloves don't really help because you have somebody come along like Mike Tyson who knocks out everybody in 30 seconds. But that's a
Well,
whole
just
nother
speak.
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be for our throwback episode. But
But
just to
what?
kind of go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you think about the whole Conor and Floyd situation.
Well, I just think that Connor's not used to someone being that because when boxers fight, I don't really pay that much attention to boxing. I'm getting into boxing because boxing is a thing of its own. Um, it's completely different than MMA. People think it's the same. It's completely different. But I think that Connor wasn't the reason that uppercut really wasn't that effective, and a lot of his hits really wasn't that effective because he's used to, and if you notice, if you watch the fight, you can see Conor kind of using that MMA stance, that that really wide and open MMA stance versus uh, Floyd was kind of tight. He was very tight, and he was very close in on Conor. And Conor's not real. I don't think Conor was used to someone being that close in on him like that because he's used to people trying to stay out of his kicking range because he's got deadly. I have to give him that. He's got deadly, deadly kicks.
Yeah,
So he's
real quick,
yeah. Go
real
ahead.
quick. When you talk about that's another thing that's the biggest difference with MMA versus boxing is the kicking, because a lot
Yeah.
of Connor's power and even other MMA fighters, a lot of their power is generated from openings with like a lot of. I've noticed a lot of power punchers in the MMA like to set up their power hit with a
Yeah.
kick.
Yeah. Right.
And
Exactly.
I mean, boxing, setting up your power is way different. The
Yeah.
traps are way different in boxing
Hmm.
versus MMA. And I think that and even when he did hit Floyd, he saw that it didn't do much. I mean, Floyd,
Right.
everybody says that he might have a glass chin or something, but I disagree. I disagree tremendously. I think that dude can really take a hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just smart enough not to get hit. I mean, just because
Right.
somebody doesn't
Exactly.
get hit doesn't mean they got a weak chin. And
Exactly. Exactly. All right, guys. Just want to chime in real quick. Let us know what you're thinking, guys. We know we only got a few viewers right now. Get in the live chat, guys. Tell us what you think. Comment, comment, comment. We are definitely answering your questions, guys. Get in there, get in there, get in there. But one thing, kind of want to talk about. Speaking about Conor McGregor, we're gonna talk about Conor. We're gonna talk about Conor McGregor right quick. Um, we all know Conor McGregor has made a lot of money. He's made a lot of money. My camera's gonna cut out for a second, guys, but I'm still here. Conor has made a lot of money, and so Nate Diaz and Nate Diaz's coach is saying that Nate should get $20 million for fighting him, and $30 million for winning in the trilogy fight. And we all know Nate Diaz is 1,000% capable of beating Conor McGregor because he's done it. He's the only person in the UFC to do it. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think about the 20? Do you think Nate Diaz is a veteran in the UFC? Him and his brother Nick and Nate Diaz are veterans. So what do you think about that payday, man? Tell me what you think, Rob. I need to hear what you got to say, partner.
Well, um, I get into a lot of debates about the whole McGregor and Diaz situation. He says that he didn't beat him standing up. He took him to the ground. Blah blah blah. That whole thing. If he had stayed up, then he would have lost. Blah blah blah. But it's the UFC. It's not boxing. He
Right.
lost. It happens. That's the way it goes. And then they had the second fight. Connor wanted the second fight. He wanted to prove himself. I think he went up in class for the second fight,
Mm-hmm.
and he proved himself. He did come out with the W, but my opinion, it was really close. It wasn't
It
as
was.
it wasn't as big of a huge spread like he had claimed it should have been. I
It was a
mean,
decision fight. It was a
yeah.
decision fight
I mean,
because you
he
just can't knock out Nate Diaz, man.
Conor McGregor, I think right now is the UFC pound for pound number 3 behind Johnson and Jones in the men.
Okay, okay. I think
Um,
he is too. I actually think he's up there too, man.
but on top,
And I think
just
he got that. Go
yeah,
ahead.
but on top of that, does Nate Diaz deserve that payday?
Yes,
Hell yeah,
absolutely,
hell yeah,
absolutely.
hell yeah.
Nate
And
Diaz has been blowing
basically,
through. Go ahead.
I mean, he is a tremendous fighter. He is tough. He reminds me of like Chuck Liddell. He's like
Yeah.
super tough on his feet, super tough, and he just goes wild. Is he very good out of the ring or on the mic or with interviews? Hell no. He's probably the worst. But that
Probably the
shouldn't matter. It
worst.
shouldn't matter. I mean, yes, trash talking and your social image matters. It sells, but ultimately, as a career, you know, a career fighter, does he deserve 30 million to be in that ring and possibly beat the show? He's like Conor McGregor's like the ticket for the UFC right now.
Yeah, yeah, he
I mean,
is.
the
He
only the
is.
biggest the biggest like message out there right now with the UFC is John Jones and his inability to not use steroids. And then what else is there at the top of the trending list? Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
So honestly, anybody fighting Conor should deserve a payday because Conor's going to get paid.
exactly. And
It
that's
was
what
the
Nate's saying. Nate's like, I'm the only dude to. Hey, dude, I'm like the only dude to beat him. Can I get paid too? He's tired of those. I think Diaz is pretty sick of those six-figure paydays. Because when these fighters get paid, portion of what they get paid because they have to pay their team, they have to pay their coaches, they have to pay the manager, they have to pay everybody. So when it's all said and done, Nate Diaz is looking at his paycheck like, all right, well, most of that is gone. You know,
yeah. I just if when if it does happen, I really hope it does because this will really. You see, in boxing, there's been a lot of three-peats. There's been a lot of people fighting 3 times, and it's always been a good way to uh, end the whole is this guy better than me? Because it's usually always a one victory per person, and then they come up for the third fight to really show who is the best. And right now, being the only guy that has beaten Connor in the UFC,
yes,
1-1, they need to have a third fight. Show us who's the best.
right,
And if Connor
right.
really is
Well,
as good as he says, he has the power, knock him out. I don't want to see this go to a decision. And Nate Diaz, if you're really, as good as you say, choke him out again. You know? Show up.
Connor. I mean, Nate Diaz. He trained in Gracie Jiu Jitsu, so he's definitely worthy of his ground game, most definitely. And speaking of trilogies, man, I'm kind of glad you brought that up because a friend of mine was talking the other day, and me and him were he's real big in the UFC. And let's see, hold on one second. Yeah, he was talking about some things that could possibly go on in the UFC, which will be like some money draws instead of it all being focused on Conor. Um, everything being focused on Conor McGregor. Well, let's try a trilogy fight, a trilogy card. You know what I'm saying? Because a trilogy card is pretty. We're bringing a lot of money, dude. Because we've had a lot of two fight. Uh, what's the word? Two fight series between, you know, fighters. You've got now you have DC and John Jones. My buddy Mike wants to talk about John Jones. He's a John Jones fan, but you got the DC John Jones trilogy. There's gonna have to be a trilogy. Daniel Cormier deserves that trilogy because John Jones is doping himself up with steroids to be able to beat Daniel Cormier. So you definitely have that. You have a T.J. Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz trilogy in the bantamweight division. You would have a Lena Landsberg, Lucy Pudilova trilogy in the bantamweight women's. You'd also have a Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Claudia Gadelha um, trilogy fight in the strawweight division. And then if this one is a big if, because we don't know what's going on with Ronda Rousey right now. She's doing this, she's doing that, she's been beat, um, and Misha Tate's retired at the moment. But Misha said that she would come back only. The only fight she would come back to do would be a trilogy match with Ronda Rousey, which I believe that would bring a lot of people in, especially the last generation fans, because this new generation's in, but the last generation fans, that would bring a big crowd to that, a big draw to that. And Misha Tate for the win, by the way. But then on top of that, you got the Mayweather, not Mayweather, McGregor Diaz trilogy. That could be like the main card. What do you think about that?
Well, that now I'm glad you said that. Why? Which one would be the main card? Because all three of those are super hot right now. Super.
Oh
I
man,
mean,
I
those would be
don't
big
know, man.
topics.
You talking about between those about the DC John Jones, Tate Rousey, and McGregor Diaz?
Yeah, I
Ooh,
remember an
ooh.
interview. It was a press interview of like all the champions. Um, Dana White was up on the mic back when Ronda was real hot before Holly Holmes destroyed her face. Um,
Right.
a reporter had asked Dana White if Rousey fought at the same card as McGregor, which one would be the main event? And I remember seeing all Dana White did was look at the reporter and laugh and said, "Next question." Like he
Yeah, I
just he
mean,
just didn't even want to make a comment on which one of those two fighters would be the main card because they both draw such a huge audience.
right.
So I mean, I don't know. That would be a
I,
really, I think it would be a good pay-per-view altogether. Honestly, I
I
think we should
don't
have
think
Misha
that.
Tate. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think he didn't want to choose between his two
At the
cash
time,
crops. So I
yeah.
think I
Yeah,
think
he
he
had the
just kind of
time.
left that alone. But go ahead. What were you saying?
I
What were
think it
you
would be
saying,
it
Rob?
would it would be a good pay-per-view. It could be UFC, I don't know, 222 or something like that.
Yeah, give him
That
time to
could
get
that could
ready.
be that could be, a bunch of trilogy fights. I mean, I don't really know who else other than those three would be really
Yeah,
a
that
good
would be.
one. But I honestly, I'd probably do. I don't even think I would put Connor as the main card. I
You
think
think
I
you
would
would put
probably,
Connor as an undercard, like a
yeah, right,
co-main event, like a
yeah.
co-main event to Tate and Rousey? I mean, because Tate and
No, no,
Rousey
no.
could
I would
definitely
put
draw the
Jones
numbers.
and DC in the main because
Okay.
both fights, Jones has been scrutinized
Yes,
by
absolutely.
his drug use and his drug abuse, and it's just like, man, stop cheating. He needs to I don't know. Somebody needs to watch him. Like the UFC just needs to give him like a babysitter or something. Because honestly, the only person that's beaten DC is John Jones.
Is John Jones. Exactly. Even from back in the Strike Force days, man, DC was the champion back in Strike Force before they disbanded Strike Force. And John Jones was like a newcomer coming in, and I think he was intimidated by the medals from the Olympics that Daniel Cormier has for wrestling and all that stuff. Because I mean, it's not like John Jones doesn't have the skill set to beat Daniel Cormier. He does. He has the skill set to beat him. He's got a 12-inch. I mean, for crying out loud, he has a 12-inch reach advantage over Daniel Cormier. So he should be able. To me, I think he should have been able just to pick his corners, keep the lateral movement, stay on the outside, and he could have picked. He literally could have picked DC to death, but he chose, the steroid route. He fought a good fight. DC fought a good fight. But I just think John Jones.
On top, real quick, that was one of the best DC performances I've seen. Actually, his approach to the fight was so clean and smart.
You talking about the second fight or the first fight?
The second fight.
The second one. Yeah, dude, he was winning. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like I'm sitting here watching the fight, oh my gosh, Daniel Cormier is actually, because he kind of got picked apart in the first one because I don't think he was quite ready for that reach.
Yeah, I think he might have been just a little bit cocky in the first one. But if it wasn't, and then, honestly, when you watch over the second fight, you'll see early DC will actually catch a low Jones kick. Like, he'll catch it. You'll see him lean to the right to try to block that.
And that's Jones, where he messed
up. Jones picked up on that, and instead of going low, dude went high and just took his head off. And DC, just one mistake. That's all you get.
One mistake, man. That was all it took. That was all it took for him, man. That one slip up, and he said, DC, even he said, he said, man, I thought that kick was going low. He said, I really thought that kick was going low. And a friend of mine just brought up a good statement. He's watching us live downstairs. If you cheating, you ain't winning. You ain't winning if you cheating. You know what I'm saying? And he's cheating. That's why everybody keep talking about the Chris. That's a good thing that he said that. Winklejohn is last name is Mark Winklejohn. I think it's Mark Winklejohn. Anyway, he is John Jones's coach, and he's also Holly Holmes' coach. But he made the big deal about when they first said that they wanted Holly Holmes to match Chris Cyborg for the featherweight title. He was the one making the big deal about steroids. Oh, she needs to be clean first, because Chris Cyborg had the whole steroid thing long time ago, a few years ago, but she's totally been clear of that. But he was the first one saying, "Oh, she needs to be clear. She needs to be clear. Oh, we don't fight dirty fighters. We don't fight dirty fighters." Jackson Winklejohn. But then all of a sudden, John Jones pops for steroids, and you were the main one talking about, you're the main one talking about clean fighters, but your fighter just got popped for steroids. So that's kind of like, a double-edged sword. Don't be a hypocrite, Winklejohn. I hope you watch this one day, but don't preach about Cyborg because you knew Cyborg was going to get in that ass. No offense to Holly Holm, but that's just what's going to happen. Cyborg is going to get in that ass. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry for the curse, but it is what it is. And, but you can't preach that and then knowing, I don't care what he says. He knows, Mike Winklejohn, not Jackson Winklejohn, Mike Winklejohn. He knows what John Jones was doing. He is his coach. He knows exactly what's going on with John Jones.
And if he doesn't, he needs to find a new profession.
Exactly. So, that's sort of the political side of the UFC. There's a dirty side to the UFC, and Dana White is spearheading it all. Dana White's not perfect. He's done some questionable things. Like, I didn't agree with him. Like he has a real bad thing about giving people a title. Like, if you're coming, like when he starts a weight class, he's gotten better at it now because like when they introduced the new featherweight division for women, they had to be a fight for the title, and that's when Jermaine Durandame fought Holly Holm and won, but she vacated the title when it was time to fight Chris Cyborg. But anyways, he gave Ronda Rousey the title. Like when they disbanded Strikeforce, there was no fight for the bantamweight title. He gave the title to Ronda Rousey. So that was just kind of that's just kind of odd things, little things like that he does, and the good and the bad. You better believe the cause of the good or the bad is going to be because of Dana White. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, what else? So we're gonna move on from the MMA talk. What other
Sure.
information did you think that you had to share before we
Um,
conclude the show with the MLB?
MLB. Well, let me see. Let me check through here. Oh yeah. One last thing, man. Amanda Nunes, the Lioness.
Oh yeah, they got a fight.
Is
I think the ninth, right?
Yeah, she's fighting. She's already fought Valentina. She fought Valentina on the same night that uh, Misha Tate won the title from Holly Holm. They were the undercard. They were part of the undercard on UFC 200. And they fought. Amanda Nunes is real bad. That's why I was kind of when I heard that she was fighting Misha Tate, Amanda Nunes, I was like, okay, this is an easy win for Misha Tate because yeah, Amanda Nunes starts off firing off shots in the first round. She starts off guns blazing, but she fades in the later rounds, and that's one thing that she's been hit on a lot is her tendency to fade in the later rounds. She gets winded, she gets tired. She's a big girl for that division. Amanda Nunes is a big, long girl for that division, and but she just, man, I mean, she just destroyed Misha Tate, and it was heartbreaking to watch. But that she faded in the Valentina fight, especially end of second round, start of third round. She came out guns blazing first round and came out guns blazing second round, but faded the later part of the third round and the later part of the second round and the third round. And that and Valentina is somebody who doesn't fade. I mean, she just went 5 rounds with Holly Holm and went a few rounds with Juliana Pena. And that's just I don't know what's going to happen with that, man, because like I said, Amanda's been finishing these girls in the first round because she knows she can't go 5 rounds. I don't think Amanda Nunes can fight a 5 round fight. That's the thing. I don't think she can fight a 5 round fight. I think by round four she's done. Because
Sounds
a three
like
round. Go ahead.
sounds like Mike Tyson syndrome.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's why she's beating these girls up so bad in the first round and she's finishing these girls in the first round because she knew that if she would have drugged Ronda Rousey past the first round, if Ronda Rousey would have made it past the first round, it would have been a different story. Most definitely, if Misha Tate would have uh, let stayed past the first round, most definitely would have been different. Um, but she's fighting Valentina again, man, and Valentina's approach is very counterpunch. She's a very good counter puncher, and Amanda Nunes is very good at coming forward and throwing those big heavy shots, and Valentina's going to get out of the way because she's smaller. I mean, Valentina could actually, if she wanted to, I believe she could fight at hold on one second, flyweight. I believe she could fight at flyweight, which is 125 pounds, if she really did, because Valentina is very small. But I'm excited to see that one. I'm definitely going to be covering that one, guys. So UFC 215 is going to be a huge card, and we're going to dive right into that, guys. And we'll see how it pans out. My prediction, I definitely see um, Valentina as the new bantamweight champion. So
I
we'll
will.
find out when it happens, man.
I think Nunez will have her knocked out before the second round.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, we shall see, my friend.
Well, now that we're nearing the end of the show, so we're gonna get into
Yeah.
my favorite topic. We're gonna get into the MLB, and as of September 4th, we have the American League and the National League records here. And
Okay.
in the East, we got Boston leading the division with a record of 77 wins and 61 losses. And then in the Central, we got Cleveland Indians leading 81 wins, 56 losses. And in the West, we have the Houston Astros leading their division 80.
Astros.
Yeah, they're leading their they've actually slowed down since the All-Star break, but they're still leading their division 84 wins, and they're leading the American League 84 wins with 56 losses. And in the
Mm-hmm.
wild card of the American League, the Yankees and the Minnesota Twins are both in the wild card. The Yankees 74 victories with 63 losses, excuse me. Then the Minnesota Twins 71 wins, 66 losses. So the Yankees are up in the American League wild card 3 games. And then in the National League East, we have the Washington Nationals leading their division, 83 wins with 54 losses.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Central, we got the Chicago Cubs, the 2016 World Series champions, leading their division at 75 wins, 62 losses. And in the West, the Dodgers, which is the best team in the MLB right now, leading their division and the MLB with 92 wins and 45 losses. And in the wild card of the National League, the Arizona Diamondbacks lead their wild card race with 80 victories, 58 losses. Right behind them is the Colorado Rockies with 73 wins, 64 losses. And the Arizona Diamondbacks lead the wild card by 6 games.
True.
And getting
That's a
into
good chunk of.
that,
That's a good chunk of a lead, man.
yeah, especially since we're, almost halfway through September.
Yeah.
Well, not really, but we're
Well, not
in
yet.
Sep-
Yeah, we just
we're we're
we
we're
just
in
got into
September.
it.
We're in September,
Yeah,
and
we
we have some notable MLB streaks running right now. The Cleveland
yeah.
Indians are on a 12-game win streak, which is phenomenal for the end
How
of the
long do you think
season.
that's gonna last, man?
I think they'll probably get to about 14, and then they'll lose. They got the Baltimore Orioles. They'll be playing them soon. I think probably Friday. And I don't think that I think they'll probably lose one of the games there. And then the Arizona Diamondbacks are on an 11-game streak, and the Houston Astros are on a 5-game streak. The Diamondbacks are really coming up the second half of the All-Star break. I think the
Yeah.
Diamondbacks might upset the Dodgers in the playoffs because the Dodgers have not been, they're not known to be a good playoff team. And the big wild card race, the biggest wild card race is in the American League. Honestly, the Yankees only hold a 3-game advantage over Minnesota,
Hmm.
but the big race is actually for second place in the wild card. Minnesota has lost their last 2 games, and the Los Angeles Angels are only uh, 2 games behind, but they both teams have 71 wins. So
Okay.
If Minnesota keeps losing, then the Angels are ultimately going to take over their spot, and that's going to be huge. I mean,
Yeah, that's gonna be.
my team are the Yankees. I love the Yankees. I have since my first breath, and I really hope that they can stay in the wild card. I want to see them in the playoffs. I hate the Boston Red Sox. Um, I hope that the Yankees can see them to play them and beat them. But
Well, God, even though Rob gave his very biased his very biased opinion there, we will keep the scrutinization unbiased once we cover that match. Once we get to that point, we will keep our scrutinizing very unbiased. We'll try
well,
to, but we'll
actually,
tend to keep it. You know.
this year the Yankees played. Let's see, 15 times. Wait, the Yankees and Boston played each other 15 times this year, and the Yankees beat them 11. So I mean, ultimately, Boston is leading the division in the East. I understand that it's
I give
77
you that.
games, but the Yankees are leading in the wild card. So we'll see them. It's not the end of the season yet. I just hope that they can remain at least in the wild card. And in my dreams, I'm hoping that Boston just starts losing every single game. Um,
Man,
can't.
when we get our own show on Fox, man, they're gonna look back at these old videos and hear you say that.
Yeah, and
It is what it is, man. I mean, we're just two normal guys, man. If our biasness comes out, it was so be it. We'll work on that later on. But if it comes out, we're sorry. We
I do
think
want
what we
to.
think.
I do want to add in some notable trades. The Cleveland Indians actually traded their catcher Eric Kratz to the New York Yankees for some cash. The cash was not discussed. And then the biggest trade was Justin Verlander of the Detroit Tigers, one of their starting pitchers for the longest time. Actually has a new home now. He's been traded to
Mm-hmm.
Houston as of Thursday the 31st.
Hmm.
He was traded for some minor leaguers. He was traded for some AA and AAA guys. He he has actually had pretty been pretty slow productively the past few years. I actually think that he was probably injured last year. I haven't been really keeping up with the Detroit Tigers, but especially Justin Verlander, he's kind of fallen off in my opinion. But those are the most notable trades, and that's what's really big for baseball today. Because until
Hey
the
man,
end of the
we got a
season,
comment. We got a comment. It says, "Great Yankees, Tyrone in Delaware."
well, at least he knows the best team in baseball.
Guys, guys, if you should definitely take advantage of the live chat, guys. We definitely respond to that. Yeah, I guess you've started a little Yankee thing going on here, man. I
Gotta
mean, I have to
represent.
get me myself. I have to start paying a little bit more attention to baseball, but and I'm gonna get on that with Rob. Rob's gonna have me on that, and
Oh, here we go.
guys, this is our first. Guys, thank you for tuning in. This is our first. Check this guy out. Check this guy out. We're gonna have to. We're concluding the show, guys. This is our first. This is our first live show, guys. This was our first episode, man. How you guys think we did? How you think we did, Rob? I think we did all right.
I think we did all right. Yeah, now I know basically I could take from this. I probably need to do get a little bit more information. But from what if people haven't picked up, me and BJ, we've kind of discussed me being as the sports kind of score keeper, and he's more of the hot topic kind of guy. I come in with like the statistics and all the boring stuff, and he's gonna come with all the hot topics, and he's gonna come with like the injuries and the big matchups in MMA. I'm not a big MMA guy, so he's gonna cover most of that. But as far as our first show, man, I thought it went really well. It actually went about the length that I thought it would too. So
Oh yeah.
we were spot on. All these notes that I have, I think I'm gonna keep them and probably put them in a clip them together and mark them as the first show.
Yeah,
Because
man,
you never
absolutely.
know.
Like I said, guys, we're normal guys. We take notes throughout the week. We present them to you, and we try to make it flow as smoothly as possible, guys. And we just try to. We're doing this for you guys. It gives us something to do, and we just do what we can. We love to do this. We love to talk about it. We're passionate about the sports, and we just love to hear F Fierst. I don't know who you are, and I don't think I'm supposed to know who you are. You're subscribing to our channel. Thank you for the subscription, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to Scrutiny Nation. We definitely enjoy the feedback we get from you guys in the live chat. Hopefully one day we can get this thing rolling to where there's constant stuff going on, constant topics going through the live feed. Live feed was a little slow today. It's all good though. We're gonna get there, guys. And I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in to Scooter Nation, man. Sports Scrutiny live with Rob and BJ.
Yeah, it was real fun. Everybody that came to the show, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below, hit the like, hit the subscribe, turn on the notifications. We'll be back again Tuesday next week at 9:30. We'll be talking about UFC. Was it 215? We're going to be talking
215.
about the start of the NFL season. We're going to talk more about any change ups in the MLB wild card race. Next week we're going to have to touch base on the Canelo and Triple G fight. I totally forgot all about that. We
Yeah.
never got into that. We were too busy talking about the Maymac fight. But that's fine. Next week, we're going to be talking about UFC. We're going to see Amanda knock out that chick in the first round.
Ooh.
I forget her name. It's probably something I can't pronounce.
Valentina.
Valentina.
So you guys hear his project. You hear his prediction. I just want to make sure everybody that's watching right now can be watching when I come back and rip this guy apart. When Amanda Nunes, when we hear and new UFC bantamweight champion Valentina Shevchenko, and I'm gonna rip Rob apart on that. I'm gonna let him hear something, and we're
And
gonna we're
your
gonna
dream,
make this interesting.
your dreams aren't really that exciting. You'd think there'd be women in the background or something. But yeah, I hear you. But anyways, next week we're going to be discussing UFC 215. We're going to come back you with the first week of NFL. That is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see NFL on my TV again.
Yes.
And we're going to bring up the MLB. We're going to actually bring up the Canelo Triple G fight. Oh man, next week is going to be a good show. I hope you guys tune in, and everybody that, if you
Oh
haven't
yeah.
already, hit that subscribe, hit the like, leave a comment, turn on the notifications. We'll really look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're gonna get on out of here, and thanks for tuning in to Scooter Nation, guys. Sports Scrutiny Live, and we are out. As soon as I can stop the broadcast.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
My computer runs a little slow.
yeah.